Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be talking about the issues that I have. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, Greg, if we're here to talk about your personal issues, then we're going to be here all day. But so first, those aren't the issues that I'm talking about, right? Because yes, clearly that would take a while. But no, the issues that I'm talking about today are actually the community issues. So on the Power BI forum. So if you don't know where this is where you can submit bugs that you find within Power BI Desktop or the service or whatever. And I can bring this up. So if you're, it's a little hard to get to because they used to have it like somewhere like under here. They used to have like, hey, you can submit an issue and stuff like that. But they took that away some time ago. So really, the only way to get to it is you go to the home page and you scroll all the way down, and then eventually down here is the issues, right? So that's how you find the issues for them. And it's kind of hokey to some degree. It's like they repurposed the idea for them, and so like it's like suggest an idea instead of suggest an issue, and like share your ideas and vote for future features. That's not what you're doing here. Okay, this is just bad website management on the part of Microsoft, right? So and they even like hot ideas, top ideas, new ideas, right? Anyway, there's a completely separate idea form. And and that's actually almost like a completely separate website where you go to ideas.powerbi.com. So anyway, and you have to log into it separately from the community forum site. Don't ask me why they're all separated, but anyway, it's kind of hokey, but this is how you submit bugs and issues, right? So with that out of the way, now I've been doing some. James Murphy had reached out to me on Gmail, and again, miracle I ever saw the email. But he wanted to do some community, some like research on the community, like forums and posts and things like that. So I put together this, and let's get into here. Transform the data. Um, see, I basically just took the work that I did, putting that together, and repurposed it for issues. Now, pulling data off of the community site is a pain in the neck using Power BI. It's just, well, I'll show you basically how you do it, basically, essentially. So, here I've got this is my Power BI issues right here. So I'm pulling it, and I'll show you how I do this. Where's a good place to start? Let's grab this. So let's go ahead and create a new source here from the web, and I'll show you just how kind of miserable this is. So, and we got to get rid of this thing right here. So this is like basically the first page and of the issues. And then for every other page, right, it's page like 2, like that, or 3 or 4. They all work kind of the same. And if you go to page 1, it'll actually just redirect you back to this guy, right? This page. All right, so let's get into it. I'll show you what Power BI kind of brings back. Maybe. Or maybe it's just not going to work today. All right, here we go. Okay, so you get back, like, and I'm using for this one, it turned out that I could basically use table one, essentially. So it has like, but it has like just a bunch of garbage in here and stuff, like, and I hate how they do like yesterday or Wednesday. And then when it switches later on, it's just like they actually give you dates and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's, so you got comments, they got this vote column that just has vote in it. Um, this category column, it's not very consistent. A lot of this stuff is just it's not consistent. So this all looks great, right? But then you have like this, what's table two? It's like, well, it's okay, it's more stuff on new investigating. Is that included in table one? It sort of is, but let's see here. Maybe not. Dashboards, submitted, submitted by, vote. Okay, yeah, here we go. New, investigating, delivered. But again, not all this data is consistent. Um, you have this table for whatever reason, and this table, and then this and this thing, and I mean, it's all over the map, and it's even worse with the other forums. This one is relatively clean. That most everything I wanted is included in this table one. Um, but the other forums, it's just like it's just crazy in terms of just all over the board. Okay, so and I did try like WebView and try to like do like like oh, this is add table using examples, and none of that works. The tagging and the formatting is just miserable. So anyway, um well, let's go back to that. Where'd it go? There we go. Okay, so let's see. So basically what you have to do is you have to pull in the table and then kind of, essentially get it in the format that you want in terms of removing the columns and everything else, renaming your columns. So that's what I've done here. And you can see like category is not consistent in terms of which category it's in. And the other interesting thing is that I found is that like the first page table one is formatted differently than if you go to a second and subsequent pages. So I actually had to create one for like page one and then one for like every other page. Um, so, and again, this is the same stuff as far as all that stuff goes. So, so now I can then once you do that, you can then convert these into a Power Query function. So what you can do is you can come up here and basically grab all of this, right? So not the source, but everything else. And then you can create a function. So this is get issues page one, right? And then what you can do is you can say source URL is text and then page is text. Source is the web browser contents URL and page, right? And then you basically paste your formatted table here, and then you do in source, and you're all good to go. So I had to do that for page one and for get issues page other, right? Same kind of concept. Again, it's a function. I just used my other, pasted my code for my other one as far as all this goes to decode it essentially. And then what you do, I have this parameter here, pages. So I'm grabbing 500 pages. And every page, I believe, has 20 issues on it. So essentially down here, what you can do is so I do a list. I list that generates, 1 to, 500 in this case, right? Increment by 1. I convert that to a table and do some more stuff. But here's the key, right? I'm going to add a column where if the page is 1, then I'm going to call my function get issues page 1, issues page, else get issues page other, issues page, and issues being my parameter here for my URL. All right, so that's how that all. Then you can then expand it and da 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 da, and that's how you get to all these issues. It's an issue getting to the issues, if you will. Anyway, so that it's a really big pain. And again, some of the other forums are just a nightmare to work with. Um, and like the all topics page is a different format than like the rest of the other forum pages when you go to all topics. It's just not optimal, and I really can't guarantee that you can see that there's holes in the data. The first page is like it's not. I don't have dates in there because, well, they're like yesterday or today, Wednesday or blah. The other big problem, I mean, this one took me forever to figure out, is that you have this when column right here, and I got a text dates, right? And that looks like I could just convert this to a date, right? And it would work just fine. Well, it fails miserably. It errors out. I did a trim, I did a clean on this, did everything I could possibly do this thing, still was failing to convert this to a date. Um, so, so what I found is I had to create a new column for date. And what I found is that there was some kind of bizarre, like non-printing leading character in front of all of these. And a trim and a clean did not get rid of it. So some kind of hidden non-printing character was, sitting in front of all these things, which was preventing it from converting it to a date. So what I had to do is I had to create this, add custom column where, hey, if it's null, turn back null. I probably could have put in today's date. or otherwise text.end when text.length when -1. So basically grab everything except for that stupid leading character that's there. That took me forever to figure out and find. So anyway, I can make this if anybody wants this file and wants to do their own analysis and stuff, I can make this available out on the GitHub repository for this channel. Okay, so anyway, you get through all of that nonsense, right? And then we can actually take a look at issues. And I'm not, again, not sure that we can draw huge amounts of conclusions around this. Again, there's my 10,000 issues that I have. Again, the status on them, I wouldn't say that the status is 100 guaranteed to be 100% correct in terms of, but it is interesting, so these might be higher because I'm just missing statuses for some of these things. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some more research on that. You can see that the vast majority of issues are submitted by anonymous people. We'll get into this guy, Hong Ju, and anyway, we'll get into him or that person. I don't know if it's a he or she. We'll get into that person in a little while. But as you can see, it's interesting to me. And initially, it's like, okay, here is issues, just a line chart based upon date, right? So I just charted my date, which all seem to come out pretty well. And then the issues that have been submitted. And I'm assuming that the dates that I have are submission dates and not like latest updated date. I can't guarantee that that's the case, although what I have looked at, it seems to indicate that that's true. But you can see like the number of issues was kind of increasing, all the way up until about March of 2023 when it hit its peak. And then just this precipitous drop off in the number of issues being submitted. So I thought that was interesting, to be quite honest. And I think this does. Well, you have to price them out there. It's like, well, Greg, you've been saying that the quality of the updates has been going down, and so this absolutely, looks like it disproves that. I mean, yes and no. I mean, if you remember where is it, the March 2024 release of Power BI, it only lasted a week, right, before they replaced it with the April, 2024 version. So I mean, there wasn't enough time for people to complain about all the problems that thing had. And maybe this looks differently if I look at the number of votes by date. Maybe we can do that as part of this video. I'll have to see. Again, I don't know in terms of, because you could have one issue that just has a huge amount of votes, right? So what if we do that? I mean, what the heck? We're here. Might as well do something. Let's do this. That we'll get rid of quarter because that's dumb. And votes. Put that in the y-axis, and then drill down. So I mean, it's definitely a different shape of a graph. And then this is annoying to me because this thing is set to be continuous. So to get like and so it just shows year as I drill down through it. It doesn't show me like where I am in the hierarchy really. So you have to change this to categorical. And then you can concatenate the net labels. And there we go. So now this is at the same level as this, but you can see the shape of it is way different. Whereas the number of issues, steady increase and then drops off. So the number of votes, it's not nearly as clear of a trend. And it really peaks in September 2021 and August of 2022. And then it's really pretty much a downhill trend from there. So again, you can have, a single issue, actually, let's take a look at it. So you can have a single issue. Here's a single issue, like Power BI Desktop WebView 2 crash, 260 votes, back in March of 2022. And WebView, that's actually two of the top issues in terms of votes and that sort of thing. And so a lot of people were having problems with it, if you will. And I've had problems with it. To be honest, and this could just be me, I've never felt that Power BI Desktop was as stable as it used to be once they switched over to WebView 2. It's just, I leave my Power BI running a lot of times, and a lot of times I have to forcibly like shut it down from the task manager because it starts freaking out and doing weird stuff. Um, anyway, that's probably just me though. So this was, again, so people are like, well, Greg, you've been talking about quality update, well, I'll tell you, mean the July, web page, if you try to link out to the blog post for the July update, it's still broken, it still takes you to June. And the other thing I would say is that, well, what about what's going on with releases? I mean, if you don't change anything, right? If you're not really doing any work on the product, which seems to be the case these days, then of course you're not going to have issues, right? You're just releasing the same thing over and over again with very few, if any, changes. And you can see that that's clearly the case, right? So this is, again, this is broken down. I have to do this again. So annoying. Change the categorical. Catenate labels is on. So this is at the same monthly level in terms of, and this is counting, this is my Power BI releases. So this is counting the number of things that are released for each Power BI desktop release. You can see that kind of peaked around May of 2023. That was a lot of Fabric stuff was included in that, right? Because that's when they really announced all that stuff. But you can see that and now because I turned on categorical to get this to work, then I don't have my trend line. It's just one thing after another with this product sometimes. So let's see here, x-axis. Well, I got to go back up to this level. There we go. Once I get back up to the top, then I can switch it back to continuous. Then my line graph comes back, my trend line, right? But now when I drill through it, now my axis doesn't change. It's so janky sometimes, I swear. So anyway, you can see the trend line, right? Here is continually going down and it's trending down, and there's just fewer. I mean, you really hit rock bottom in July of 2023 where they released a grand total of 8 things, right? And it's pretty much just there's not a lot happening with the desktop product. And now, does that tell the whole story? Maybe not. Maybe not. Because this also tracks problems in the service, and as well. And so let's. This is the one thing I thought. This guy, obviously the same user, right? Let's go look that individual up. Because let's see. There we go. Right there, these two. So I was like, what is that guy submitting so many issues? Well, it's all about typos in Korean. Like apparently whoever's doing the Korean translation within Microsoft is terrible at it. Because this guy's raking them over the coals about it because there's typo at data sets, and it's all these Korean typos and issues and misspellings and mistranslations and all that stuff. This guy's keeping them honest, apparently. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're like, well, Greg, where are you on this chart? Well, I'm actually in the top 15, believe it or not. So here I am right there. So you can see that that's me right there. I'm 13. I submitted 13 issues, in the last 4 years, basically. If you want to see what those are, they're in here. We can do Greg. So there's the issues that I've submitted. Some of them have been delivered, like March 2024 breaks copy table. A lot of people had issues with that or had problems with it. 48, no less. Adding conditional formatting x-axis to column charts just turns them white. There's different things. Y-axis, custom string, a lot of issues, and there's one in here somewhere. Maybe if I sort. I don't even see one of them that I had. Line and column chart bug. Now that's the one right there. 7. Oh, I should have sorted. Duh. There we go. Line and column chart bug. That's when basically you add something to you add a column and a line value to your line and column chart. It shows the secondary y-axis, but if you actually go into formatting, it's actually turned off. And so you have to turn it on and then back again. Anyway, so going to continue to play around with this data set a little bit. Again, if anybody wants the PBX, I can throw it out there on the GitHub repository. But, that's all I really had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.